What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card CEO.
Did he get another one? Gallo's on his way back. He got it! Santa Maria! Lindor again!
There it is! He did it! A 40-70 season, and a season unlike any other in Major League Baseball history for Ronald Acuna Jr.
There's a drive to right, off the bat of Evan Konnor, and what a postseason he is having.
He hits this one hard. He hits it a mile to left. Mike Trout has ripped a home run.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Trout, and you're listening to Sports Card CEO with Kern, Bubba, and Ham.
We got the boys in the house. We got the farmer in the sunshine. We got
John Candy.
John Candy, baby! John Candy!
Summer Rental. It is a classic 80s movie. And legend.
You look like Happy Gilmore from Happy Gilmore 2.
I haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet. I
The
need to
old
see that.
homeless version. I'll be 44 this year. So once again, the old man on the pod. Boys, it is great to be back with you guys. And before we do our weekly roundtable, can I please just take a moment for the three of us to indulge and relish in the fact that we just had the opportunity to interview the number one prospect in Major League Baseball, Konnor Griffin himself. How cool was that, fellas?
It was freaking awesome. Amazing.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Amazing.
Me and Connor and I have a lot in common, as you can see.
Yeah, obviously.
Ton
Like
in common.
brothers, like step brothers for sure.
Yeah, it calls Dale and Brennan.
Well, dude, just a really big milestone for us and just a really cool moment for the show. As much work as we put into this and the commitment that we've all made. And then you deal so much in prospects to have the opportunity to interview that guy. And it opens the door to other guys. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, man. And I know our listeners really appreciate it. Big milestone for the Sports Card CEO.
Yeah, for sure. And keep the ideas coming, the questions coming, what you want to hear from us. And I hope that I think the Konnor interview will open up the door for other interviews as well. So if you ever have suggestions of people that you'd like to hear from within the hobby space or, just in general, if it's attainable and interesting to us and to you guys, then we'll do our best to fulfill.
More shower questions to come, too. A lot more athletes to come. So,
yeah.
The questions people care about. So, that said, boys, we have a tradition here starting off with the weekly roundtable from the CEOs. Bubba, since you're in the brilliant sunshine of Middle Georgia, go ahead and start us off, brother.
yeah, I'm outside today, guys. I'm just feeling like loosey-goosey. Yesterday, in full transparency, folks, we filmed yesterday, and it was just not going to be a good episode for y'all. I was a little tight, feeling a little COVID-y or whatever. Everybody was just a little off.
Why don't you be honest of why we did it? I mean, you didn't like me yesterday.
It's
you were
okay.
mad at me.
We had sad face Kern yesterday. It happens to us all. We
Yeah.
had sad face Kern. Today, he's happy. I'm happy out here enjoying the sun, getting some vitamin D in me right now. But yeah, back to what y'all really care about, why you listen. On the card front, I've officially changed my name for the last 3 weeks from the Bowman Farmer to the Bowman Builder, because all I've been doing is working on finishing this house at the farm, which has about killed me. But I've had a little hiatus from baseball cards, but now I'm back. Last night I bought 4 or 5 cards. I've started to kind of creep back in and start checking all my reds.
What did you
there any
buy?
new ones out there? I'm in full disclosure mode this morning. I'm going to tell people what I bought. I've been buying Julio Rodriguez 499s. I think Julio Rodriguez is extremely underpriced. He got out of favor, and I don't know if y'all have looked at his stats recently and look at what he's actually doing, but he's probably going to put up a 6 WAR this season. And I know a lot of people don't look at WARs all the time, but there's only been, I think, the stat that came out the other day, 5 players all time by his age that have a higher WAR. And Julio's going to end up putting up 35 home runs, 100-something RBIs, 20-something steals, batting 270. Sign me up for that. And I'm buying refractors at $700, $800, $900. Too cheap. So But anyway, back to my life. I'm getting back in the groove. I'm buying Julio. I'm getting vitamin D in my system. I'm feeling great today, guys. I feel like I'm ready. We got Culture Collision this weekend. I'm gonna see Ham. When I see Ham the first time, I'm gonna headbutt him for calling me John Candy. That's all I had this week.
That was good. That was good. The John Candy. Yeah, right before we got on here, what movie did you say he looked like John Candy?
Summer Rental.
Summer Rental.
He got me fired up for the episode. It was a smart play. You got my blood pumping.
You're welcome.
Man. Yeah, I don't know how to follow this up. I'm not as happy-go-lucky as John over there, but drinking his water bottle. But yeah, man, I'm back in the groove here. I'm swamped at work, but it doesn't take much for me to get in the groove of. I've been doing a ton of rip my own product here. I just had 2 cases of HTA 24 draft deliver, ripped into them about a 2-minute rip, nothing big, but I got a jumbo coming tomorrow. I've been buying more wax than I have cards lately. I've still been buying some cards, but I don't know why. I'm very into ripping wax, specifically 24 draft. It's hard to get. And when something's hard to get, I start buying everything I could possibly see within a good range. But other than that, it's good to be back in the groove, man. Kids are in school. I'm back in the office. I had our friend Zach Polin over here yesterday in the office. I just gave him a bunch of stuff, sent him home with tons of stuff to just to run at $1. So it feels good to I've emptied out the office. I gave him all this leaf platinum stuff or whatever I ripped. I've been doing I've been messing around with the Blaze Online repacks. I hit 2 grails last week. I hit a Jesus Mate Gold Lava 10 and a James Wood Speckle 9.5.
Those are grails. Those are grails.
Those are grails. Well, grails for the pack, it was $200 pack or something like that. So I had 2 of the grails in the packs, and now it's a merry-go-round of recycling these repacks, right? They'll go right back in, and somebody else will get them, and they'll hit their grails. What's up with you, Matt?
Well, gentlemen, I am coming off. First of all, let me just recognize this. I'm really, really proud that I've worn off on both of you, that we actually sell sports cards these days.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself.
I like selling lately.
And Gary, when you see me, you're going to give me a big hug. Don't you lie.
No, that's a headbutt. You better wear a helmet because it's coming. You better be wearing a helmet. And Kern, I know I've been holding this back. I know what you're doing. You've been really quiet while I've been quiet. And you're buying all these cases. You're trying to pull the Konnor Griffin without me. And I know what you're trying to do. I pulled it, man. I got you.
I would love for you to come in on these cases with me, but I love you too much that I knew that these didn't have it in them. So the next one you could be in. I knew that I didn't want you to waste your money.
Okay. I know what you're doing. Secret he's on the push to get the Konnor himself. We see it, folks.
So Ham House, man, I am coming off a pretty nasty virus. Into last week, dude, I was laid up with a 102 fever for a couple of days. I've watched more movies in the past 3 or 4 days than I've watched in the past 3 or 4 years. So I've just been trying to kind of veg through. It has been, as I told you guys, transition Ham House Sports, the majority of it over to Little Matt. We had a really cool situation. I want to give a shout out on the show. This is a friend of the show, a listener to the show. Carter Stacy is a graduate student at UNCW, local to us in Wilmington. Listened to the pod. A couple weeks ago, he heard me in my stressed out mode talking about needing help with organization and all this, and he offered to jump in and get involved in Ham House. So we kind of went through the process, man, and kind of treated it like we were bringing somebody on as a hire. And, man, I've met with him now a couple of times. He really helped us get organized. He's helping us with some back office stuff where we're transitioning there. So I'm excited for little Matt to really have a feel of what it means and looks like to actually run a business. And for me personally, man, it lets me be little Matt's dad. I had gotten kind of lost in this whole thing of being his business partner and trying to drive, the revenue and the sales. And it just put me in a stressed out spot. And, you probably could see it on the pod. And when I talk about kind of laying low, it's just basically going, I'm completely burnt out. We were in Fanatics Fest in Atlanta. Fanatics Fest in New York. We went to Atlanta with the All-Star game. Then we were in Dallas, and it was just this nonstop kind of thing. And I just needed a breather. So that breather has come. We've kind of hit reset on some of our stuff, and excited to kind of go to Culture Collision this weekend as, back to what we really started at, just a dad and a son trying to go have fun and do some card stuff.
Matt, I could relate. I mean, my son owns me too. So it's not he's smarter than me as well. So it's not a big deal.
Your son owns me. Your son literally hates me. Every time I get on the phone, it's like, hate that guy.
Ham,
and he hangs up the phone.
I'm just really excited that you're getting this breather because, to be honest, you kind of look like an older version of Joe Biden today. You look like shit. So I hope you feel better soon. You look like an older version of Joe Biden. So I'm glad you're getting this rest.
But man, I love it. Before we never live this down.
Before we move forward into the next topic, I just want to say, I don't know how you guys feel, if it affects you as much, but my sports life sucks right now. It is so depressing. The Mets are hanging on by a thread. They stink. They haven't won a game when trailing after the 8th inning this year. They're the only team in Major League Baseball. They have not won a game when trailing in the 8th inning or later, I think it is, this year. The only team in Major League Baseball. They're hanging on by a thread, and it affects me when the Mets lose like this. Then it's football season starting, and I'm looking forward. I had no expectations, but I see Justin Fields coming out and balling. Jets lost a nail biter. This guy hits a 60-yard field goal with a minute left or so. That would have been good from 75. It's nothing goes right, I feel for my teams. Mets, Jets, Knicks, they all suck. It's so depressing. Does it affect you guys when your teams lose like this? Gary, are you affected that the Braves are not going to make the playoffs?
I think my personality is that I'm either all in or all out, and the poor Braves, I'm just all out. I check box scores on them every day, and they're kind of on the TV when we have nothing else to watch. But now that football's on, and the Braves just suck, I don't even watch them. I just look at the
you have
box
Georgia
scores.
for college football, so
yeah, we got the Bulldogs, but they barely beat Austin Peay, so they didn't have a great start. I'm not a Falcons fan, so Atlanta doesn't even have a pro football team, in my opinion. So on pro football, man,
why are you not a Falcons fan?
I mean, they're horrible. Have you ever?
So what? What are you a front runner? I mean, come on.
No, I'm a DraftKings guy. I'm a DraftKings guy in NFL, man. I'm a fantasy football guy on that.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
I literally, when you play fantasy football on DraftKings, you just don't have to. You can't have a team really because you're cheering on the players.
Yeah. Well, and again, growing up in North Carolina, the Hornets. Never really cared, it's the other end of the state. The Panthers, for a season or two when Cam was playing, we would get behind the Panthers and it was exciting to see them in the Super Bowl or whatever, but we've never really been big Panthers fans. My wife played basketball for North Carolina State women's team. And so, we're big NC State fans. And if you're an NC State fan, I imagine it's a lot like being a Mets fan. It's oh yeah, back in the day, one time we won something, and so that's kind of the life of an NC State fan. So we're surrounded by North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest. It's just, we just kind of exist. But right now, NC State's 2-0. And so, yeah, I'm good. But I will probably be disinterested by midseason because our schedule changes significantly.
Matt has already booked his hotel for the toilet bowl. He's already booked it.
Every year. And the hotel is my bedroom because I will cut the game off at halftime because we're probably playing South Alabama at the Mayo Classic. I'm just not interested, So
that's what I need to do. I just need to disconnect and not care as much.
Well, I will say this, I literally have a type of personality. When I was at NC State, I did not miss a home football game. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and share this publicly on the pod. My senior superlative of high school was most school spirited.
Really?
I was at every sporting event. Dude, I am a loyalist through and through. I wear the jersey and I am all in, diehard, crazy, maniac, whatever. But it reached a point for me about 10 years ago where I looked in the mirror and I'm like, what in the heck am I doing? You know what I mean? If my mood is affected because of grown men playing a sport that I have no control over, I need to deal with myself. So that's kind of me coming full circle with sports.
Yeah. All right. I guess I got to deal with myself. We could set up a private session, Matt. All right?
Sessions. So Boys, we need to dive into some topics today here on the CEO pod. So the first thing is let's update everybody on this road to 100K, which quite frankly is not even yet a road to 2K. So give us your thoughts, boys, on how this whole thing's going.
Kern, go ahead and get us started on your thoughts.
No, I mean, I think it's going slowly. It's going slowly. It's not necessarily that, you know, we all have to agree to something. It's more just like getting. Yeah, I think it's good. The hardest part right now is getting to a certain point. Like it's all the small buys, right? Like because you can't. It's which route do we go, right? Deciding which route do we go. Do we buy raw and grade and then wait? Like, do we want to do this quickly or do we want to do this right way? Are we buying something in one chunk or are we buying little pieces here? We haven't really made any moves, and I don't know. It's harder than I thought it was at this with dealing with these smaller numbers than I'm used to. It's harder than I thought. You guys agree?
I don't think there's any doubt. And we talked about it yesterday, just being kind of desensitized to like smaller cards. Once you get into doing $5, $10, $15,000 cards, and then you're down at $200 or $300 or $400 cards, it's just kind of like, it's not exciting to think that, oh, I can take 400 and make 100. And that's not to be arrogant. It's just, I don't think we've had that, like, that just hasn't been our world. And now we're trying to get into that world. And frankly, I think it's never really been, Kern, your world since you've been in cards. You've kind of gone into the superfractor world, and I've kind of gone to reds and oranges, and Matt, y'all are now doing mostly gold and oranges and higher end yourself. And so to get down in these other levels, my way of making money has always been picking the right players and picking them at the right time, or grading right, or cracking right. And then, but I've never been in this like push of, hey, I've got to make money to eat kind of mentality. And to be honest, I need to have more of that mentality on this road to 100,000. And I told myself that yesterday. I'm going to start treating it like from now on, and that's not this week, next week, starting next Monday, I'm going to start treating it like my family doesn't eat if we don't make money on the road to 100,000.
I love it.
That's how we are going to make this work. That's just how my mind works. If I'm either all in or all out, and I've got to treat it like, if we're going to take this seriously, like we got to roll our sleeves up and we got to work deals. And like, I've been waiting for it to kind of come to us, and bottom line, it just hasn't.
And little Matt too. I mean, little Matt is kind of the eyes, if you will.
Well, I was just going to say, I've kind of been waiting on just little Matt to tell me what he thinks is a good move,
But it's hard because like right now, this will lead us into kind of the next conversation, but right now is a really tough time in the hobby because like there's opportunities seem thin because there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar. And so when you get hands in the cookie jar on this lower end stuff, you have a lot of people kind of vying for the same kind of cards. So there's just the margins aren't as good. The education of the hobby on who these prospects are is much higher than it's ever been. People are buying the right players, and you've got a limited market pool with a lot of people with the hands in the cookie jar. So you kind of got to branch out, and you kind of got to go like, what's outside of our little world of a prospect? Because right now, if we buy a card, it might be a great buy considering our sell window is February, March, but we're just going to sit on that card.
Yeah, exactly. Where are we at now? What is
we're like 1,500, right?
So my suggestion, and we'll talk about this offline, but my suggestion is to find a decent deal on a card that is freshly pack pulled, that it doesn't need to be just somebody that's liquid enough, but the card is big enough to send in, say, regular service level, grade the card, hope for the 10, and double up. Like, because my mindset is like, let's and maybe it's the wrong mindset, but instead of like $50 here profit, $100 there profit, let's just 2x something and get to that point where then we could buy a $1,500 card and feel comfortable moving it.
Well, here's what I would say is I definitely think when you're dealing in 500 to under, 1,000 to under cards, you can do a lot of damage at in-person shows.
Yeah.
Because you've got stuff that people don't really want to deal with, and then you can get it and you liquidate to the right channels. Like I think Matthew would eat at Culture Collision with basically $1,000 on being able to go throughout the room and find opportunities and kind of run with it. The hard part is doing that crap from home because, you buy a $500 card, you got to pay $10 in shipping, you got to wait, a week for it to get in. Even with the grading thing, think this,
Graded
devil's
on site.
advocate.
Oh no, they're not there, right?
No, they're not there.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate to this though, you take $1,000 card, you buy it for $1,000, you send it in at the $75 level with shipping or whatever, call it $1,100. Right? It doubles up. It has a $2,000 comp. You get 90%. You get $1,800. I mean, it's not a bad come up, but at the same time, in the world that we've been living in, who gets excited about a $800, And so a lot of this just shows our posture in the hobby and where we've kind of like outgrown what it really takes to get this thing off the ground for somebody who's starting out right there.
Well, I think you hit on two really good points. Number one, being that this weekend in Culture Collision, we should absolutely be able to double up. I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to be there Friday, Saturday. By the time we get into next week's pod, I'm hoping that we're saying we got $3,000 because we're going to have the ability to really be able to move cards and inventory. And, you pick up a card, you can flip it 5 minutes later at another table. It's the pace in which you can move. So I think this weekend is going to be big for us on this. But I think the other thing that we have to do, just like we did earlier with the Konnor Griffin, is just kind of reflecting on what we've done. Again, the fact that we're up 40% on an investment. If somebody put $1,000 into the stock market this year, they would not probably make $400. Right? That would be a 40% return. We've done that in a matter of weeks, basically doing almost nothing as of this point. So when people are thinking about investment in cards and knowing what they're doing, I think we've all been so desensitized to these gigantic returns over and over and over again to building a bankroll. And that's what's going to be fun about this whole road to 100,000. We get to share the psychology of this. And the other part of this is, and you hit on it, Matt, and I think this is the biggest struggle for me just mentally right now, is it's hard to buy a card, get it shipped in the mail like you mentioned. It goes through authentication if it was bought on eBay. You wait 10 days to get it. You get the card, and there's 2 weeks left in the baseball season by the time it's in your hand. And newsflash to most people that are listening to the show, most years baseball goes down in the fall and winter. Almost every single year. Yep. Last year, we went flatline, and we talked a lot about that during the show about last year, about how excited we were of that. If it flatlines again this fall, we're all very excited. If we're just 0% to February, we are in a great position to go up another 20, 25% next spring, right? And so I think in reality, to sit here and hope and to think as people in cards that baseball is going to continue to increase all winter at the rate it has been is not going to happen. And and if it does, then we all have to start getting a little worried about the health of the industry because it shouldn't keep increasing when the game's not being played. So that's kind of a thought I had there. And I think the last thought is once we get back from Culture Collision, we also have the new release, and the new release is the next opportunity. It's everybody now coming up February. I think we'll talk more about this in the episode, what's coming in February and March and what the opportunity is. But the new release coming up is the opportunity in my mind for us to get 10, 15, 20,000, this fall.
I think we have to build the bankroll at Culture Collision. So then it'll set us up, I think, for success with the new release.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the whole premise here, guys, is that to tell our listeners and those involved is like, if you don't have a strategy, like it's not going to be very successful. Like you have to get ahead of the game and plan for these releases and plan for like the seasonal shifts and all that kind of stuff, as well as the grading costs. And this is one of the things I've had to express to little Matt. He was like, Dad, I got 10 grand. He'll go out and spend 10 grand on raw cards and go, I need to grade them. Well, you're going to have $1,000 or $1,500 in grading costs. Where's that coming from? Well, I figured you could lend that to me. I'm like, I'm not lending you anything. You have to account for that within your initial, you know what I mean? And just all those little things that people don't necessarily think about. So that said, guys, talking about the Bowman thing, Kern mentioned briefly about the change of date coming down the pipe on the Bowman Chrome release.
Yeah, it was originally September 10th, and Topps pushed back the release to September 24th. So got to wait a little bit longer. But the 24th is the release date.
And so, we're going to do an episode here coming up in the next couple of weeks ahead of that release with Aram to really break down the checklist or whatever. So for all of our listeners who are into the Bowman Chrome release, make sure to look out for that. We're going to kind of break it down and start to talk about like who's who and what to be looking for there.
Yep, for sure. There's more DSL guys than ever before in this product. It's usually heavily international and guys that are still in the DSL, but I think this product is significantly more than the last couple of years and ever before. So, but we'll dive into that with Aram when we have him on the preview.
So that said, guys, right now we're aware that, baseball season is coming to a close. Football season has already kicked off. There's a lot of softness in the football market right now. Burrow had a really, really shoddy first outing. You look at guys like T-Law, that kind of wave of guys has fallen off. The next rookie quarterback, whether it's Penix or McCarthy or, whoever, it's just the whole football market's really just unique right now. And it's not like super, super hot. And we're looking to see a fall off of baseball in the offseason. So where is the opportunity in the hobby right now? Like you have to be opportunistic. You have to be looking ahead. You have to be playing smart, to kind of stay on top of the game. So where do you guys see opportunity?
I mean, I think first and foremost is the new release, obviously, here in a couple weeks. I know, Kern, you've been circling that on your calendar for quite a while. And I think if Fanatics is doing anything right, is the fact that we have these different release points set across calendar spread out like this. Because to me, 25 Bowman still has a lot of life in it. Like people are still buying 25 Bowman. It's still getting attention. But right about the time it started to lose a little bit of momentum recently, some of these players have started to fall off. Now you've got a whole new thing to be excited about. You've got a whole new thing to drive momentum over the fall. So I think new release coming up, but learning from what we talked about last year, we had learning that you have to be able to change year to year. Knowing that the last release for 25 draft, Kern, and what we thought we were going to do going in on 25 draft and what we
24,
actually ended
24
up
draft, yeah.
Sorry, 24 draft and what we ended up doing was completely different. And
Yep.
so we came in saying, hey, be very patient. Don't buy right away. Well, newsflash was everybody was buying right away. And if we didn't get in and start buying, we would have never got these cards. And so, because the inventory got gobbled up so quickly. And so I think being prepared, the opportunity is being prepared for this release, knowing who you like, right? Identify the players that you love, get on them early, buy them up early,
Yeah.
and be smart about what you're paying. And then from there, you've got grading. You've got flips. And if you really have that conviction, most likely, and that player is good, you're going to make money. And so to me, that's an opportunity.
Yeah, especially when it comes to those really low numbered cards like the true reds and stuff, which we talk about all the time, that you don't know how often they're going to come up for sale or if more are going to be hit, right? Like they could sit in packs. And don't be afraid to pay above what you think it's worth at the time if you have conviction. The first Konnor red that I got, and that Gary and I got, it was sitting there on eBay, and it was at a high. It was $10,000, less than $10,000, and at the time it seemed high. Man, what would you do to pay $10,000 for a red now? You don't know when another one is going to come up. So, if you have conviction, jump on it and don't be afraid, but be smart about it, especially in this release, just because these are international guys and a lot of them are not in the States yet. So it's always the riskier product.
Yeah. Bowman Chrome scares me, honestly. And it scares me because of Christian Vaquero and Roderick Arias and Samuel Zavala. It's a really scary product to me because there is so much parity between the guys that make it and the guys that don't. So you got to be really quick with it.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say one of my biggest, I shouldn't say it's a loss yet because I'm still holding on to it, but what will be one of my biggest losses since coming back into the hobby is the Roderick Arias Superfractor. I mean, I bought that when he was already in the States. And he actually had better numbers in the States than he did in the DSL. And I took a flyer on it. And man, I'm gonna lose a ton of money on him. But just be careful. Be careful.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a valid point, you bring up there, Ham, which is why draft as well has been so good the last year outside the baseball market being really good is these prospects have been playing well. Bowman draft, they came out, and right after they came out, they had hype. Well, guess what? Then a lot of these guys we thought were good showed they were really good. Yeah. So what's very unique about this product coming up is outside of some Arizona Fall League and some Dominican stuff that people don't really follow as heavily, you're not going to get much information on these guys until next April, or spring training of next March. And so playing this game, these guys a lot of times are a longer shelf life. You were going to have that immediate opportunity of having your knowledge early. So I would recommend coming in knowing. Don't be waiting until November to try to buy these guys, because unless you're trying to time something up, but come in, know what you want to go after, have your conviction. And then I would probably be in and out fairly quickly, unless it's a guy you're like, hey, man, I'm buying, this is the next Jackson Churio. Then by all means, hold on to that. But to me, I think this release is a giant flip release in the first month, 30, 45 days. You're in and you're out, in my opinion.
So, we talk about being opportunistic. Gary mentioned the 25 Chrome release. It's also, kind of like where my mind is at right now. In addition to that is I'm starting to think of players that I like for next year to buy during this offseason that are not either hurt right now or their team is not going to make the playoffs. They're having a down year. I'm starting to make my list of those guys that I'm going to keep my eye on in the offseason for going into next year. So I'm starting to make my buy list of guys that are on that are not ending, or maybe ending the year strong, but had an overall down year. They're not going to make the playoffs, so they're not going to have that national spotlight that you think are good buys for next year. That's the time to start doing this now to keep so when Chrome release does come out, you could go pay your attention to those guys.
Spot on. I mean, not only guys that are ending strong, I'm going to go the opposite route here, but same thought pattern. Guys that maybe started hot and are ending slow. Guys like PCA, James Wood, that we've seen, these are good baseball players, right? But they're falling out of favor right now at a bad time of year. Because your prices are going to be higher next spring because you ended a season well, right? When you start really good and you end bad, the last things people remember is you played bad.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, those are the guys I really like. Like a PCA again right now. His prices are still high, so I'm not completely there on him yet. But James Wood, I love. I still believe James Wood is still the same guy I said he was this whole time. A guy like Jason Dominguez, who hasn't really gotten an opportunity. His prices are gonna bottom out this winter. Mm-hmm. And I mean, guys like Dylan Cruz.
I was just going to say Dylan Cruz, yeah.
Hit a bomb last night, but he's been hurt all year and he hadn't played and he hasn't put a great product on the field, but the talent is there. I mean, you start looking at pitchers, like our boy Travis Sikora. I promise you, I'm going to load up the tank before that kid's back because I believe in him. There's those kind of guys. Bryce Rayner. I'm giving away a lot of good stuff right here. Julio Rodriguez is a guy I mentioned at the beginning. That's a guy that is a hell of a baseball player and hasn't gotten any love. So to me, you can make as much money right now, September, October, November, December, just targeting the right people that you have a conviction. What is the thesis on why you're buying that player? And if your thesis is right, you can make big, big money next year on that person.
1,000%. Well, boys, we wanted to, kind of be to the point today on the show. One of the things that we wanted to bring up and just give some thought to as we kind of close out the episode, this idea of this new PSA buyback program. It's no secret that there are so many hands in the cookie jar in the hobby, and everybody's trying to figure out how to capitalize on the market, where it is, what's going on with it. The repack game is strong. PSA's in the repack game. Arena Club's in the repack game. All the different breakers are in the repack game. Everybody's trying to find inventory. PSA is automatically grading the majority of that inventory. And now they have started a buyback program when your card gets graded that you can cash your card out right then. But again, based on our conversations, it leaves the room for some improprieties, if you will. And what's our responsibility as collectors in the hobby about how we respond to changing things like this?
I think it's great for the hobby to have more options to cash out and to, liquidate. I think what's happening here with PSA, it's a little questionable to me and again, I'm not accusing or I'm not stating anything as a fact, but it could be a conflict of interest if you're a conspiracy theorist of some kind. What is to stop PSA from giving you guys an offer on PSA 9s and you accepting, and then they regrade it to 10s and they easily 2x their money or more. I'm not saying that's going to happen or the business plan and strategy in place, but like nothing's stopping them from doing that, right? Like it's just another way for them to increase revenue if they really wanted to. And I'm not saying don't cash out for that reason. Just it could be a little bit of a conflict of interest that the grading company is offering that, because anything, how many PSA 9s out there are there of a million, all these cards that have high population that could easily just 2x if it's changed to a PSA 10. That's my thoughts on it.
SCC grading coming your way. Sports card CEO grading company, in my opinion. So tired of this PSA sham that we all live in. I used to have BGS. They used to be my boys. They brought in the butcher, and now I got nowhere to go.
The BGS butcher.
The BGS butcher sticks his butcher knife in my back at every grading turn now, so I can't use him. They bought SG, and now PSA wants to take every dollar that I have when I grade. They want to rake me over the coals on everything they do. And then they want to say, that's a PSA 9, but if you send it in and crack it 3 more times and pay us 3 more times, we'll give you a 10, pal. How about that? How does that sound? Not to mention, we're going to start an eBay that will sell your cards and we'll take 14% of that, buddy-o. Hey, y'all, just keep on spending your money with PSA. I'm so tired of this PSA sham, and I can't believe I said it the other day and I'll say it again. There will be a new grading company at some point because they're not taking care of their customers. They're all about the money grab. And I don't care what business you're in. When you don't take care of your customers, eventually you will lose the market share. And so I'm just waiting for somebody to step up and become the new grading company because the industry needs it, man. When we lost SGC and now BGS is just really not even an effect at all. But that's only one grading company in town, and they're acting that way, in my opinion.
They are. They know what they could get away with and what they can't get away with. And I've mentioned this before. My biggest issue, and Matt, I know you have some thoughts here, but my biggest issue with PSA is when you send a card in to be crossed or, to potentially be crossed over, that they charge you still the full amount even if it does not cross. Why should I pay the same price of $600 for a walkthrough if it didn't cross over? Why should I pay their labor cost to crack the slab, their insurance cost to crack the slab, and then their cost for the new slab and the printing of the label and the labor for that when they didn't do any of that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It should either be 25% of the cost or half the cost even. Like, they shouldn't charge you full price for looking at the card through the slab. I'm not saying you shouldn't be charged. You should. But they shouldn't charge you the same price for actually crossing it, which requires a lot more work. And that's a sham. That was a bighorn. That's
Perfect
a sham.
timing.
Yeah.
That's a sham.
Yeah. That means I should stop talking.
Yeah, that's right. You get the hook. So, Bubba, I love your little like mini rant there. That's actually like Bubba's country song. It's like, I love it. It's like the PSA sham country song. Like, we should have AI do a country song about, you taking my money, buddy. Okay, I'll grade it for you. Oh, that made me laugh, dude. That was classic content right there. The biggest thing for me, guys, is this, and this is where I'll kind of land this whole plane. There is no bearer of truth or rules within this hobby that we all love. They have the SEC commission for a reason, and it's because of things like the Wolf of Wall Street, right? And you get this insider trading, and you get this all this. It's illegal. It is illegal. Right. And it's illegal because people were capitalizing on their inside knowledge and their backdoor, all this kind of stuff. And they're dealing with millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's no different. We are this is almost, the cards has become a security exchange, and there has to be some type of regulatory kind of like at least a good old boy handshake of like, what's the right way to do this? Because when you have these cards that are graded 6 and 8 and 10 times, you have all of this stuff, it's all a joke to me. Like, I look at all of it and I go, this is all monopoly. It's all, fugazi, whatever. What do you say, Kern? It's
Fugazi.
Fake. Fugazi, right? It's like, it's all fugazi. And so it's the sooner you can get to that and just go, okay, it is what it is, then you can not care about it. But if you really care about it, and you realize that all this nonsense is going on behind closed doors and people are paying people to grade stuff and people have cell phone numbers and all this kind of stuff, all the stuff we all hear and nobody can validate. Until there's a regulatory side of this hobby, bros, it is the wild freaking West. And you know what? In the Wild West, just get good with your guns, baby. And so that's where it's like, play the game and just and go on.
Do you guys remember when I wanted to name this podcast The Wolves of Wax Street? Welcome back to the Sports Card CEO.
Yes. So anyway, that was my little counter rant there. When it's the Wild West, baby, just get good at pulling your guns and making sure your back is covered, because that's the hobby that we're in. It is the wild, wild West.
Well, when we want to talk about fugazis, and one last little rant here with PSA, in what world is it okay that you're going to charge based on a card value? And we live in a card world of shill bidding. We live in a card of shill. And then they want to value the grading based on some guy that before a card show decides he wants to jack a price up 3x. The next poor guy that goes in and grades it has to pay 3 times the card price. Like, and how is that, in what world is that acceptable? So whose standard, we talk about this all the time, is it card ladders that we're using the value off of? Is it alt that shows that ones that aren't paid? Who's setting the standard for what they're charging these cards on? I had a PJ Morlando red that they tried to charge me like $500 to grade when they did the grading on it, and they upcharged me like $500. And the last public comp was like $1,500, but they're like, oh, well, there was an orange sale that was $3,500 that was BS. And so it's just how they come up with these calculations too. Again, they need to enjoy it while they can, because it won't last forever. Somebody's going to come in place, and it's going to be a great day for the hobby when a new grading company comes in town, because they'll care about their customers. They'll talk to their customers again, all the things PSA used to be.
There's only one company that can make something. There's one person that can make something like that happen, that could overtake him if he really wanted to. His name's Michael Rubin. That's the only person. It's Fanatics.
Maybe that's coming one day. Who knows?
What's his schedule? Let's see if we can get him on the pod.
Michael, are you available next week? Oh, no, we might have a special guest next week.
Hey,
we'll see.
It's all good.
Kurt, I do want to hear this Red Pena story, and we can wrap it up from here. We got a couple minutes. Give us the Red Pena, and let's put a wrap on this baby.
I will say, Luis Pena Reds are cursed. They're just a cursed card now. They're just a cursed card.
Can you explain why? I mean, I'm intrigued to know why. I want to know why.
There's been a couple Luis Pena Red. We own one from our, the three of us own one. The podcast owns one. Little Matt and I had another that we sold in a PSA 9. There was another PSA 9 that was at that Woogle owned and brought to the Dallas show, and that was sold to my buddy, Jay Wax. Then there was another one that was hit at a shop. I don't know where the shop was, but it was maybe about a month ago. And I remember speaking with Little Matt and telling him that it was hit. And, I was like, nobody knows about this. Although it was like, had a couple likes on Instagram or whatnot. So one of our listeners reached out to me and told me about it. And the guy who pulled it sold it to a friend of his. I reached out and I was like, hey, is this for sale? It was like a couple hours after he hit it. And he's like, I sold it to a friend of mine for like, $3,000, something real cheap. I was like, some friend you are, some friend he is. He just ripped you off. And so anyway, I was like, man, I would have paid you X for this. You know what I mean? I was like, do you want to tell your friend my offer? And he's like, oh, no, he doesn't want to sell it. He didn't want to hear my offer, whatever. Card disappeared. I get a message from one of our listeners. Sunday, I'm at the American Dream Mall with the kids. Which, we're doing like tubing inside, the ski slopes. And then, we're at the Nickelodeon Park on, roller coasters and stuff. And I get a message from one of our listeners, his name's Dan, sending me a picture of this Red Pena raw. And I put it together and I realized it's the one that was hit at the shop. And he says, this is available at a show I'm at. I'm talking to the guy right now. So what's the ask? Gives me the price. Say, I'll take it. He says, all right, let me find the guy and I'll confirm. Messages me back, done deal. He'll accept the offer. The guy Dan asked him for PayPal information, and the guy went dark. Just went dark. He agreed to the deal, went dark. He contacted, disappeared. Next thing you know, Little Matt sends me a message. Somebody else on Instagram, one of his followers, has this card. Turns out he paid like $500 more than what the ask was, not what I offered, what the ask was that I accepted. And I can't get a hold of this guy. He gave me his information. I'm contacting him. I just want to know. I mean, the card's gone, but I just want to know what the hell happened. I mean, like, where is you accepted it? Like, you had an ask. I accepted I said I'll take it at your ask. And then you just disappear and you sell it for $500 more. I got news for you, buddy, if you're there. I know your name's John. If you're there, you could have gotten me for $10,000 more than what I would have taken that card at. I would have paid a lot of money for that card. I would have paid up to $10,000 incrementally for what you were asking. So you undersold that card, and you're an idiot. And if you ever try to sell me another card again, I will ruin you. I will pay people to not buy from this kid. I will pay you if you ever buy from this kid, or not to buy from this kid. I will pay you. Don't trust him. I mean, you don't even contact me back. You accepted an offer. Like, it's messed up. Like, you left money on the table for an extra $500. Good job, buddy. Good job.
Can you pay me not to buy from John?
Yeah, if you send me what you're going to buy from this John, I will pay you not to buy from him. If it's the right John, I will pay you not to buy from him. Yeah. Good luck getting in touch with him. He doesn't even accept messages on Instagram unless you follow him. My follow request has been sitting there for God knows how long. You know what this leads us
to? We need to, since it's cursed, we need to just go ahead and sell our Luis Pena to our friends at PSA on the Buyback program.
For $2,000.
They're going to give us a great deal.
That's one we tried to cross. We tried to cross that at the National, and it was 2 10 subgrades and 2 9.5 subgrades, right? And the card looks perfect through the slab too. Great subgrades. $600 down the drain. No slab. And no grader notes, which is supposed to come with that crossover. What did I pay for? Absolutely nothing.
I did see the grader notes, Kern, and it said, we will buy card back and make a 10 if you want to sell
exactly.
it.
Look out, buddy. You could have gotten an extra 10 grand. You undersold that card majorly. You're an idiot.
Man, it is so funny. Well, boys, this is always fun to catch up with you guys. I appreciate the energy, the lightheartedness today. We got to laugh a little bit. Definitely interesting as we continue to process the hobby, as things change, as, we all have to adapt and kind of grow. It's so wild to look at kind of where we all started and where we are now. And it's just, it's a lot of fun to kind of reflect on. We always hope that in these conversations and rants and, jovial accusations that our listeners are able to benefit from it. And that it enhances your card buying and hobby experience. So any final thoughts, boys, as we wrap up today's episode?
No, I hope you could separate, the listeners can separate my humor from, what's real. When I sit there, but I mean, you are an idiot, John, but I hope you can separate the humor.
So hoping, Matt, that we have a little more money coming back for our road to 100,000 after Culture Collision. We're going to stick little Matt on it. You and I will get on our game. And what's the prediction, Matt? Final prediction for the show today. So we're at 1,500. What are we coming back with next Tuesday's episode? You're making the call.
Yeah, I definitely think 3K is attainable.
Okay. 3K it is.
I think that's realistic. Again, it's hard to say what's going to be there or whatnot, but I will tell you, if I trust anybody with 1,500 to make it 3K in a show weekend, it's little Matt. The dude is just really smart and on top of it, and he just knows what's where. And so, I put my full confidence in him, and I think that will be a good thing for us to get to that 3K number, because then we can start doing some work.
Yep, absolutely.
100%. Well, boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Sports Card CEO. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, leave comments on the episode, share it out with your friends. And we got a lot more to come. We got some really cool guests lined up, and we're working on some stuff for the off season too. It's going to be a good road ahead for the CEOs and for our listeners. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
If you're wondering where Kern went, he's fighting John in the background. See you next week.